Happy Friday, everybody. I would like to take the time to congratulate you on making it to the end of your miserable week once again, and I want to do my best to inform you as you head into your weekend. So first, you got Joey Executive Order here, signing that pen left and right because he criticized the previous administration of acting like a dictatorship because they relied so heavily on executive orders. So now that President Biden is in office, he said he would love to do nothing more than to do the exact same thing as the previous administration, and it's totally okay because now he has a D in front of his name. Next, you got Democrats flip-flopping on their stance regarding the economic shutdown of businesses because now they say if we wait too long, well, there will be nothing left to reopen. So all this means is when Republicans wanted to reopen, that means they wanted to kill grandma. But now the Democrats want to lift their finger, we should all jump for joy. Next, you got the media totally asleep at the wheel because now that the Biden administration is in office, well, they don't need to tell you what you should know. They only need to tell you what they want you to know. And last but not least, Gamestonk and the Reddit boys have officially united America. But getting back to the first story, you got President Joe Biden signing more executive orders his first week in office than the previous 5 presidents combined, I believe. So you had Democrats criticizing the Trump administration, and maybe even, rightly so, right? Maybe it was justified, saying that they relied too heavily on executive orders, and, it kind of undermines our whole process that we have in place, right? You have to have bills go through, Congress, the House, the Senate, so on and so forth. So Democrats here, whether it's in an act of retaliation or whatever, well, they're doing the exact same thing. So they might feel it's justified, but my core argument here is, well, one, you're total hypocrites, right? But two, you're not doing anything to make this country better because all this is going to do is, let's say the next time you get a Republican in office, or it could even be, who knows, right? The way we're going, you might even have a third party candidate get into power. Someone is now going to be emboldened to do the exact same thing that the Trump administration did, and now what the Biden administration is doing. So it's just going to continue this process along. And that doesn't really help America, right? Because you're just going to get someone in power that's just going to continuously try and ram executive orders through. And again, it undermines the whole process we have in place. So I feel like Democrats actually had a chance here to say, hey, you know what? What went on these past 4 years was a little crazy. Let's try and, dial things back and let's do things the right way. And really, they're not doing that as of now. So again, you can let me know how you feel about this particular topic, but I don't see things ever getting better because I just think the next person that comes into power, right, whoever it is just going to sign more executive orders, and it doesn't really help us. But next, you got Democratic governors, officials, senators, representatives. They're going off now saying the time to reopen is now. Specifically, you got Governor Cuomo over in New York. He was notorious for saying, we got to keep people safe. You got to shut down businesses. We'll let you know when it's safe to reopen, right? Things like that. And literally just the other day, he's saying, if we wait too long, there will be nothing left to reopen. And I'm sitting there, I'm watching it, and I'm like, is this guy for real? That was literally the core argument of people who were against the lockdowns in the beginning. You had people that were saying, hey, listen, if we force businesses to close, they're probably not going to come back. And especially not for nothing, you had the large corporations stay open, and you forced the small guy to close. So, of course, the big corporations have all that corporate money to where they can weather the storm, whereas the small business doesn't. So you already have statistics going out there. I think in New Jersey, one of the earliest videos I did on YouTube, it said 1 in 3 businesses aren't coming back. So it's going to vary from state to state, but it's kind of like, well, too little too late, buddy. There's so many people that have been decimated because of this shutdown. And now they want to turn the corner and say, well, now it's okay to reopen. And kind of to put it a step further, if you're just tuning in for the first time, I've mentioned before, I'm a public school teacher at the moment, okay? Right now in the moment, I am a public school teacher. And I actually just had a meeting today, meaning my entire, district with the superintendent. And he said February 16th, he wants to get us back in person. We have been in person, but to full days. So more kids would be in the schools. So it's a step to try and making things go back to normal. And I'm sitting there and I'm kind of like, what has changed since the beginning of the year, since, the beginning of the whole virus going around? Okay, we have a little more information regarding it, despite the fact that there's still people that are experts that are getting stuff wrong left and right. What's changed? We have a new president. That's it. That's literally all that changed. So now they're saying it's safe to go back into schools, to reopen businesses. So now they get to do what they've probably known all along, which is that it was safe to have these particular businesses, have these schools open. But now they're going to implement it, and it's going to go back to the Biden administration, and they're going to say, look at them, they saved us. That's really what it is. You got a new administration, so now they're putting that plan into effect, so now they can just say, look what this new administration gave us. They got us back to normal. No, you allowed us to go back to normal because now you get to use that as an excuse. Just my take. And yeah, the media, totally asleep at the wheel. And the reason I say this is because if you've been paying attention, not even to just mainstream news, but every now and then, if you're watching a certain TV show, you'll get a commercial break, and it'll be one of the late night talk show hosts, and they'll be giving you a little rundown of what to expect in the episode. So during the Trump administration, it was wall-to-wall coverage. This guy did this. He's awful. You have this new bombshell. We should impeach him, whatever, right? Everyone's going off on the guy. Literally the first week that Biden's in office, everything is so happy. Don't question anything, right? I'm giving you like that little like warp thing where just stare into this and just listen to my voice because everything is good. We're going to get things back to normal. They're running news stories about Biden having 2 dogs in the White House. And don't get me wrong, I love dogs, but I don't need to hear about that. Talk to me about what the administration's actually doing. And that's what I feel that the media is going to do now. They're just going to woo you with all these stupid articles. It's going to appeal to virtue and emotion, and they're not actually going to tell you what the administration's doing. Whereas with the previous administration, they never ran a story trying to make that administration look good. It was always about undermining them. So just know moving forward, if you actually want to hear about what this new administration is doing, you're going to have to go to alternative media because mainstream media ain't going to let you know what's going on. And last, I covered this before, but you have the whole Gamestonk situation. At the time of recording, Robinhood and some other E-Trade platforms, well, they shut down specific stocks that you could buy. You're only allowed to sell them. So this has really made it to where people have kind of crossed party lines, and they said, hey, we can finally agree on something. I was like, oh my God, who knew 2021 was the year we come together? And now obviously there's still been some bipartisan BS. You had AOC, because Ted Cruz tweeted at AOC. AOC said something regarding that this should be investigated, it shouldn't be legal. So Ted Cruz said he agreed with it. And AOC then runs her mouth and goes, you tried having me killed at the Capitol Hill riot. You should resign. And then you have everyone going, yay, slay, queen. You're so amazing. And it's like, just when you thought people could actually come together and whoop, the rug gets taken out from underneath. But yeah, I do think this is something that maybe people can start to agree on. But I'll kind of lay out an argument here because you have a lot of people that are anti-free market, and they're pro, like, eat the rich, right? They're like these 140-pound soy boys that drink Starbucks and tweet about how capitalism sucks on their iPhone, right? But, they're for that eat the rich stuff. And they're now saying that, well, this is a reason why we should break up, these hedge funds, these billionaires, because then they wouldn't have the money to influence Congress. So it's at least a take. And I disagree with it because here's the issue you run into. Well, okay, you've taken away the money from individual people from, at the moment, however you plan to redistribute it. But you still have the core problem, which is, I think, government has the ability to be influenced because it's so damn big. So I'm much more in favor of now waking up people to saying, the issue is the fact that we have big government that can actually manipulate our lives. It's not about the fact that people have the money to influence them. It's the fact that the people in the government actually have the power to affect our lives. And you might sit there and be like, well, isn't that the whole point of government? Well, let me kind of walk it out a little bit more. If government constantly has the power to make these decisions to where it can really genuinely screw with our lives, right? And you can actually have people that lobby and to manipulate law into effect. Well, you can remove the hedge fund billionaires. You can even try and what they try and do. You can even try and redistribute wealth and now make it to where individual people don't have enough money to lobby Congress to making certain decisions. But the problem you're still going to run into is they can still pile money, even if you break them up into little individuals. Well, those individuals can still find a way to get together, pile money, and lobby Congress. So that's where my biggest argument is. If we take the power away from the government, then they won't have the power to be, there's no reason that people have to lobby them. There's no reason people can lobby them, because it doesn't matter how much money you have. If the politicians don't have the power to screw up at, the everyday lives and benefit the rich, well, there's nothing that the rich people can do. They just have to play by the same rules as the poor people. And that's kind of my takeaway from that. So, where can we go from here? Well, it's probably going to be, I don't know, who knows if it'll be an eventful weekend. Maybe it'll be uneventful. But I'm sure next week will bring us some new crazy story, and you'll have people fighting at it, going for each other's throats, and, et cetera, et cetera. But let me know what you feel about this one. Do you feel any of these particular topics, I missed the mark on? Do you agree with them? Do you disagree? Do you think Robinhood, I asked this in one of my other social media platforms, do you still think that Robinhood should have the power to shut down particular stocks, to where you can only sell them, but you can't buy them? You agree? You would disagree with that? Do you feel like our markets are actually free? Let me know how you feel. But as always, I appreciate you checking out the video. Hope you have a good weekend, and I hope to see you again sometime soon.